when, Harrison? All right, we're live. Five Boys in Business. I'm Emily King.
And I'm Richie King.
And today we have Tatum Perez, who's one of our friends. And is Jose watching right now?
I hope. I don't know. He might be working on something.
Okay. Maybe he's working, making the bucks. Okay.
I didn't even tell my parents. I was like, I should tell my parents.
You should have told your parents.
They'll watch it later.
Yes,
Yeah.
they will. They can watch it later.
And it won't be edited, so it'll just be...
It's just going to be live. Maybe roll with it. That's right. So, Five Boys in a Business. So, yeah, we're at what number podcast, Harrison? Because this is pretty new.
10.
Episode
Yeah.
10.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
10 in the bag. Well, almost 9 in the bag.
9
Yes.
in the bag. 10
Yeah.
almost done.
That's
Tatum's going to
great.
make it a successful one. So, Tatum owns TxT Training. And we met, maybe like... Oh, wait, I'm supposed to back up. Harrison's going to yell at me. You can find the podcast at YouTube, Spotify, iTunes. Everywhere and anywhere. Okay, so, so I met Tatum maybe 4 or 5 years ago. 5 years ago. When my sister Missy asked me to come to one of the classes, and it was January. It was cold. I just remember that. She goes, I know you're getting bored. It's December or winter, and so come to class with me. It was on a Sunday. And I was like, all right, sure, I'll come. So I got up and went, and the rest is history.
What were you doing before then? I remember you were doing some program before then.
We were doing like
Boxing?
P90X or something, or whatever that thing is called. Remember down in the basement? Like the
at home.
the at-home stuff,
love
or just
P90X.
going walking.
Oh, you're doing
running.
Insanity.
Insanity.
Because we were past P90X.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
We didn't complete it.
We were just past it.
Got injured.
Actually, the only thing I've tried it is the yoga. No, the plyometrics.
The yoga is like forever long in P90X. It's like an hour and a half long. With my attention span, I cannot do it. So that's one of the
in
things
retrospect, I remember the ab workout. I was like, you have to edit this. No one has that kind of abdominal strength.
right.
For
Where you
that
can
many
hold.
minutes in a row.
It's pretty
like,
intense,
yeah, it's
right?
intense, yeah.
So yoga's the only down.
I really
day.
liked their like plyometrics and
Yes.
like some of their
That was hard
like,
too, though.
active
Yeah.
things that were like 45-minute
Right.
segments.
Yeah.
Those were good. But I was getting bored of it. So my sister said, hey, come with me to this. And so I went.
Which
and,
I love training the sisters. I
Yeah.
love training you too. I like having family together. It's fun.
That's interesting because that's one of the things here at work that I tell Richie about a lot is that having the families, it's so fun seeing families come in because so like I'll see the daughters
Right.
and then their mother, their parents come in as
yes.
well. And it is fascinating. So I have one group I have an entire family. So I have the brother, the two sisters, and then the mom and dad. And it is hilarious because you can see their dynamics between
Right.
everybody. And they'll be like, yeah, my sister had the dogs this weekend,
Yeah,
of course
right.
they had the dogs, but now they're sick. And it's like, okay, but it's really funny to see. And so I'm sure you experienced
Yes.
similar.
Oh, yes. I love that. Couples that everybody gets along so well, though. So far, I'm like, how is
You haven't
this
had
possible?
anybody getting like...
No. And then I
Yeah.
used to have another husband and wife, and they were a lot of fun. And at their age, I was like, wow, they were really fit and really affectionate and fun. I was like, wow. I mean, I hope I'm like that at your age. Like, they're so much fun. But anyways, I do love the dynamics, and I have two other sisters now, and so it's just fun to see them push each other, and just I think it's even more accountability for that person when it's family versus like a friend or
Right.
just whatever, or just somebody in the group. So,
Right.
and then I think everybody else enjoys hearing them because they're fun and they've got their little
Bantering or whatnot.
right, giving each other a hard time.
Right.
Even Jose still talks about. So my husband just started joining us. 9 years I've been doing this. He doesn't like me to tell him what to do. I guess I do that enough at the house. But
Right.
Anyways, so he was joking about us giving him a hard time, and you know.
Oh, the other day?
Yeah. He's like, come in there. He's sore already. It's fun. I told him, I was
He's
like,
such
you've
a
got to
good
come in here more.
sport.
He is. He's pretty relaxed about it.
He's such a good sport. And it's so funny because you get to know everyone at the workout classes
Right.
so well that you feel like you can just say something like that. And then it's like, oh, wait, maybe that's outside of the bounds.
Right.
Like, he had picked up this, like, I don't remember what it was. Like I was like, oh, no, Jose, put that down. I was like,
she
as if
called him out in front of
it was
everyone.
as if you were there. Like I was thinking of him as if he was you. You're like,
She's spilling secrets already.
It was hilarious.
No, don't do it that way. Do it this way. It's like, she kind of said do it that way, but whatever you say.
Yeah, I hear you guys say that, yeah. She's been doing it for a long time. She knows her stuff.
So, yeah, he was picking up something. I was like, oh, no, you don't. Put that down. Get the other one. I was like, oh, wait. Maybe I don't know him that well to do that.
No, he loved it. He loves that stuff. So, yeah, that was fun.
It's a
lot
good
of
time.
Fun. It is a good time.
So how did you start TxT?
So I started, let's see. Well, I was working in insurance because I lived in Puerto Rico for 2 years.
Right.
And I actually have a BSPA in public affairs and environmental management. But anyways, love fitness. So we came back here. I was working. I had our first baby girl and decided that I didn't want to be working an 8-to-5 job. A lot of people had encouraged me to, like, why don't you just do fitness? Like, you're so involved and you love all this stuff. So I was like, I've got to figure out something. So that's when I decided to get my certification. So I'm ACE certified. And then I started working for LA Fitness. Mm-hmm. And I did that for 1 year. And then decided I really want to branch out on my own and have a little bit more control of my pricing and what I do. And so just after 1 year, I started TxT. And it's funny because that's when I started my triathlon, because I'm a strength trainer, runner, swimmer, and then I started triathlon training. So I did the lift, swim, bike, run, but kept mostly with the strength training with everyone. And it's only now that I've been to Kona that I feel like after 9 years I've done a full circle. I have my USA triathlon certification. And now I feel like, I'm dabbling in a little bit more things. So, but that's where I began. And I've been kind of all over the place it's hard to find, locations that let you come in and train and bring people in. So I just pay rent, and I kind of have different locations in Carmel and Noblesville so that I can, find the better fit for people, because convenience is a lot of it for most people when you're busy. So, yeah. I love it. 9 years, almost a 10-year anniversary.
What was the thing that started you on your kind of wellness/fitness journey? Was there a catalyst? You went from being a professional, like a traditional professional office worker, to that. I mean, was there something that?
Well, for me, I'm not a good. I don't do well behind walls.
Right.
So my first job, I was a pre-treatment inspector out of college. And I loved that job because we actually went into industries and businesses and sampled water and then came back to the office. So I had a little bit of flexibility of being out of the office to writing letters and doing correspondence. And so I enjoyed having both of those worlds.
Right.
And then when I came back here, I was very much stuck pushing paper, being on the computer, which is not good for me.
Right.
So I just wanted to get out of that, and because my passion is there, I wanted to do something. At that age, I just decided, and having a kid, I think really was like, I really want to do something I'm passionate about. I don't want to just work to work,
right?
And that was more important to me at the time. And because I decided to stay home with the kids and not work to raise them, it was a good time for me to explore other opportunities and study and just take a different avenue. I was like, I'm not going back to a desk job. After being home, too, you realize how nice it is to be physical and just be up. Moving. It's so important. So, and not that it can't be done if you have an office, especially today, people work with you on those, but I wanted out of that.
Right.
So, and I had already bought my books actually for studying when I lived in Puerto Rico. So I was already on that route. And then when we got back, I just kind of got away from it. And then we had kids, and I was like, I'm going back. I have the books, and this is really what I feel passionate about, and let's just see if I can make it work. And, and now's a good time to take a chance because I wasn't really working. I could get my feet wet, do part-time, and then kind of, if it works, great. I'll grow from there. Or, then I know later when the girls are older what I want to do. But
that's awesome.
So it worked out.
And then you guys as a family, Jose's also taken that entrepreneurial path, right?
Yes, doing something he loves too. So he's into photography and videography. He's talented, and after so many years of working in the bank or doing something, you find that you're missing. You need that outlet of creativity. Which is what I like about my job and his job, is that we get to be creative, and that's a big part of staying happy, I think, too.
Right.
And being challenged all the time and growing and learning, and not that you can't have that, but for us, that's kind of what we missed.
And you get into just this, people I think so quickly get into just this minutia, like this regular rote, like just over and over and over.
A rut of just the same thing.
Over and over and over again. And that must just be what it is.
Yeah.
Like that just must be how you exist.
This is just how it has to be.
Right.
Yes.
And so I applaud you guys both for being willing to go do that because there are inherent strains and risks to
there
doing
are.
so.
There are, and
Oh,
it is kind of hard and scary
Yeah.
at times. But I was talking to one of my clients the other day, and we were discussing how you can. A lot of people will work for retirement, right? Or you can kind of make space and time and not focus on the money and too much. And knowing that your kids, tomorrow's not guaranteed.
Right.
So it's kind of fun to do this and do what we're passionate about and take those chances now. And then when the kids are grown and off to college,
Right.
if we need to settle down with some other things and grow, we can grow then even
Right.
easier, work more.
Right.
So sometimes the time is a constraint right now, but it'll work out and when the kids are a little older. So
Yeah.
I
No, that's
like
really
the
cool.
flexibility and the creativity and the fun of it all, and
Right.
just inspiring others. So
What do you think
cool.
was the biggest hurdle for you guys with both of you going to owning businesses? What was their biggest topic of conversation of keeping you from wanting to do it? Do you think that was the hurdle that you had to get over in order to do it?
For me, it was seeing him happy. So there was no question that I knew his talent. I guess the biggest question was, should I be doing more? Who's going to take on that?
Right.
Because it's hard. Somebody has to kind of own the kids and take care of that part while
Right.
somebody really is the breadwinner and doing more. So we kind of combined forces on that. And it's kind of nice because they do go hand in hand, so he can help me.
Right.
And I can help him. But it was just taking that plunge and okay, here we go. There's ups and downs, things flow up and down.
Oh, yeah.
Doing your own, there are good times and easy times and there are
Right.
hard times.
Yeah.
But, in the end, to see him happy, and to see this new person evolve,
Right.
this somebody I hadn't seen. It's just really neat and,
Right.
and confident and just, I don't know. So for me, it was fine, but I would say, basically it's just money,
Money,
you're
yeah.
just
Can you
figuring
make
that,
it
can you
work?
make it work?
Yeah.
And right now it's kind of funny because we're going through this thing we see each other more. And it's and we're working together more. So it's okay,
Yeah.
I don't want to just become business partners in this
Right.
relationship. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's keeping all of that.
Two distinct kind of roles.
Yes,
And that's
yes.
that's the hard. That's what's challenging.
Are you
sometimes.
speaking from personal?
Of course not.
Do you
No, I'm
find when you
kidding.
go out on date night, you're just talking about
Oh, we
business?
talk about work
Yeah.
all the time.
I have actually.
all the time.
Yeah, I've said
Yeah.
that before. I was like, I have no idea what we're going to talk about one of these days because it's so all encompassing.
Right,
And
it
it's
is.
so I mean it's
it is what you think about when you wake up, because it's a joint venture for the two of us, even more so.
Yeah, because you're very involved. Yes.
Then it's this is it. This is where we have all of our eggs are in one
Yeah.
basket, and so we're continually talking about, and the boys probably can test.
They're like, oh boy, here they go.
Poor Harrison. now we've sucked Harrison into the
Right.
mix, and
so even more so. So now you're involved. So
now he's involved.
All
So-
the family is
so he comes over for dinner.
I can confirm that every time I come over for dinner and every time we go
That's
out to
what you're
lunch, it's
talking
always
about.
work.
Yeah,
It is.
We talk about
It
work
is.
because one, it is a commonality.
Yeah.
Now
Right.
I love working with him, and I love working with Harrison. So to me, it's a fun conversation.
Well, that's how we feel too. It's fun to be creative and talk and go through. Yes.
Well, what's funny though is that I think, and I'm sure you sort of alluded to this when you spoke earlier, is that when you go out on your own like that, it has a way of focusing the mind to a razor sharp. To say this has to work.
Right.
There is no third direction. There's either success or failure, and that's it.
Nothing in between.
So, and I
right.
think that's what all the years that we've done it, and our mindset has always been: this has to work, or this has to whatever. If we put forth this effort, then it has to lead to success.
Yeah.
That's what permeates. I mean, over time, it just starts to. That's why you talk about it all the
It's
time.
why,
Things
yes,
like
it
that.
is why you talk about it.
Because it's
You're
always that
passionate about
chase.
it, too.
It's that
And
chase to the next level. It's like, what do we do now? What do we do now? What do we do now? What's the next phase? Even at the clinic here, I mean, you started off doing these, say, 4 core activities, and you start to whittle that down, and then this is the next phase, and you're going to devote the square footage to this instead, or whatever. So it's all that constant evolving
Yes.
of the operation and the business is what constantly occupies your mind.
Right,
you
right.
know?
It does. And it's, as you guys know, when you're running your own business, it never stops, 24/7. I mean, it's
Right.
not like you go home from a desk,
It's totally
you don't
different.
turn it off at
It's
5
totally
o'clock. You
different,
want to. I try to. You know, you try to put things away, and you try to say, I'm not going to do this right now. I'm going to be in the moment. I'm going to like not think about work, but we always are. And now, you know, we're trying to figure out that whole, like, okay, so he's pretty busy on his side, but I'm demanding his attention for my business a little bit.
Right.
So it's like, okay, how important do I become, you know, in his work, and trying to work together on that. And he's got his ideas and my ideas and bringing them together. So it's a lot, but every time, you know, we go for coffee or something, or we, you know, even date night, Jose's like, what would we talk about if we didn't talk about work? I'm like, the kids, I don't know. I'm like, this is all we talk about. It's constant.
I was coming home from one workout session on a Sunday, and this guy was on, I was listening to just, you know, regular radio, and there was a guy, you know, they always have church things on in the morning.
Right.
And there was this group on, and they were talking about how no one really knows anyone, because you don't ask, you know them, but you don't know them. You don't know what their struggles were. And remember how we were watching like Down Abbey last night, and you were like, everything's so public. Like everybody knows everything about everybody.
Because the servants' quarters, I mean, we're huge Downton Abbey fans right now, so don't judge. Anyway,
and so
it's a community because everybody in the whole house
so they actually
knows
genuinely
everything.
Knew this person was struggling with this, or this person is struggling with this, or, you know, and so the guy on the radio was saying, when's the last time you asked this question? Not like, how was your day, but he asked a different question. I can't remember what it is now at this moment, but he asked a different question that required a different response. Not just, my day was good. It was like, oh no, I struggled with this or this or this. And then I think, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's our generation or feeling like it's a weakness to
not say the truth, right? Like just to say, okay, like people don't want to hear it. Like they ask, but they really don't want to know.
I know. How are you? You really don't want to know.
Oh man, so let me tell you. And then you go into it, and they're like, no, don't have time for that. I really don't care.
This is casual, just hello.
It's just a
That's the American hello.
question.
It's like, let me know what you want, and I'll help you. But you don't
not right now.
Not right now.
It's just so fascinating.
I think with my job though, like working with people, that has been one of the best things, is connecting. Like you really can connect with everyone. And a lot of times, if they come in, well, one, when you work out, as you know, it releases a lot of like either tears or you know, it can release stress, anger, and a lot of times I get people in with a bad day, and the best thing for me is to just figure out where are they coming from. Like, what is it? Is it me? Because sometimes it's taken out on me because I'm pushing them to work hard, and they're not into it, and they're angry about something. So a lot of times the truth comes out. So I kind of like that aspect of realizing that, you know, most people, the way they are is because of some experience they're having that day, or something that's going on in their life. And so rather than just assume like, oh, this is the way this person is wired. They're not always wired.
Yes, we say that here a lot, like especially in a room, because you don't know what's happened to them before they've ever come in the room. And although you might think that it's about you, it's really never, hardly ever is it about you. It's always about the conversation they had with their husband,
the last link in the chain,
something that bad that happened on the drive here, or they forgot their mom of the year and they forgot to bring cookies to school.
Yes, which happens all the time. Like, I mean, I can't keep track of everything. Sleep is huge. I feel like a lot of the problems is just sleeping, you know, getting enough sleep, at least for me, it can be. So, I think it's
I think it's a lot.
True.
It's so interesting, though, because I think as I get older, I start to realize the value in that, the wellness and the sleep, and things you could take for granted when you were, say, in your 20s or whatever. But you can't. You have to consciously maintain those things as you get older.
Yes, and find time for it also.
What do you think are the things that lead to people failing to stay consistent at, because clearly you understand the because you're in it, the value of staying healthy, you know, mentally, physically. What are some of the common things that traps they fall into, or like why can't they get to the other side of the fence?
I think they put too much pressure on big goals of weight and how they think they should look, and not so much how they feel. You know what I mean? Like taking those little, and I think too, and it's hard because like we're used to having things quickly today, right? Like you don't have to wait in line very long anymore. Everything's like at your fingertips. And we expect that. And I think we expect that when you start a fitness journey too, like, oh, you know, 2 weeks. Like I get people that come to me and like, I'm going on vacation in 2 weeks.
Oh boy.
I'm going to come work out with you, and miracles are going to happen. No, it takes longer than that. It's a process. It's a process. And it takes time. And most people are, I mean, just in our society today, impatient and want things
Right.
immediately to happen for them. So I think you can get very discouraged very quickly. And I don't think that our society helps with the type of foods and the things that we're presented with, and the fact that, you know, it's cheaper to have a huge Coke
Yes,
this
you
big.
you were talking about that one day.
Oh,
at
it
workout where
blows
you
my
were-
mind.
yeah.
Don't get me started.
You're like, why are they making it cheaper to buy more food?
Yeah,
than,
free
like, when your portion
refills
should
and
be
stuff.
just-
Yeah, the portions and
Yeah.
everything. It's crazy. You know, you go to
Right.
the movies and it's like, oh, for 10 cents or a quarter.
You can get more.
A refill of the popcorn.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, you're not helping. So it's hard.
Right.
And I think that you set yourself up if you're not focused on, okay, well, and I feel like I'm very good at this as a person. I think you are too. I think athletes, you know, in nature, you learn to focus in on those little wins, right?
Right.
Like, you know, I had to tell my daughter this yesterday, you know, like you can focus in on what went right, or what did you do better today, or what did you give your effort towards, or how do you feel today? Maybe you just feel better, you know, maybe your jeans fit better, you know, something. And then just keep going that way. And it's not always going to be a perfect progression. It's going like life, you know.
Right.
There are ups and downs. That's the nature of it too. And
Right.
it takes time. It
Right.
takes you so long to get to a certain spot. I'm working on that with flexibility, and I've neglected some of that a little bit. And it's like, well, I'm not going to be flexible tomorrow just because
Right.
I touched my
One-
toes today.
Right.
Right.
It doesn't work that way. So, anyways, I think that's tough today. Just used to, and because you're stuck in a job where you can't. Sometimes moving is hard.
Right.
There are a lot of companies that are working with their clients and letting them get up, and it depends on who your manager is, but you know, I have one client and they're not allowed to take breaks. They're not allowed
Oh, wow.
to walk because they need to be by their phones
Oh.
for customers.
Right.
Wow.
So they don't want them up and leaving their desk. And I thought, gosh, you know, like, how's that? That's just not good for anybody.
I think unlike say 20 or 30 years ago, I do think there's an increased focus in the corporate world towards wellness.
There is.
Like the company behind us, even you see them walking all the time, and there's a quasi financial incentive to maintain steps every day.
Yes.
So you'll see them out walking all the time, and which is
That's actually so funny you bring that up, because my friend Chris Bluish, he works at an engineering company, and he gets like certain perks if he walks a certain
Yeah.
amount throughout the week. Like,
Right.
well, you know why though, right? I remember.
It could be money. It could be like anything.
Yeah.
Well, and I remember Tina Hawk, her husband Bob, used to work at I think it was a popcorn company,
Yeah,
wasn't
Weaver
it?
Popcorn.
And they got
really?
certain incentives if
Yeah.
they did
Yeah.
certain
Their
things.
Fitbits. They wore Fitbits.
Yeah.
Remember, they had to have so many steps.
Because you would get, I mean, your health coverage.
But your health insurance goes down.
Health
Yeah.
insurance goes down. I know some people get days off, or
Right.
certain, you know, you work towards points for days off. I mean, it's all good stuff. And it's nice to see that. It just
Right.
makes it hard. But
Do you think that now that like, is it just that it's more obvious because of all of the avenues of media, or is it that the population itself definitely is less fit than when, like, say, our parents were growing up? Like, it seems like obesity was more
It seems way more
the
prevalent now.
abnormal, like not the
Yes.
thing it'd be unusual.
right.
And like now it seems like it's more, and I don't know why. Like
I think it's the diet. I think consumer products. I
do think it's diet.
I don't ever remember there being nearly as many processed foods as a kid as there are today.
I also think that you know, when I grew up, I would say I was in that transition where, you know, my parents grew up where you cooked all the time,
Right.
And you always had a parent, you know, the mother was always home
Right.
to do that, and then, you know, my mom worked starting about 7th or 8th grade, and I remember I was doing fast food a lot more because it was like swim meets, you know,
Right.
starting to get busy. But not till high school really did we feel that. And then, you know, you look at today and it's even harder to cook from home when you have both parents working all day,
Right.
and the kids are involved in sports. And I really think it comes back to whole foods and cooking. And, you know, just driving through Taco Bell every night adds up
Right.
quickly, you know, and it's quick, it's easy, it's cheap, it's easy.
Boy, that food's terrible for you, though.
It
I mean,
is.
consistently it's bad. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
occasionally it's not, but I think even I personally feel when my diet's really bad like that, you eat it and you go, ugh, I don't feel good.
You don't feel good.
Yeah.
And then if you've never cleaned it up to know how energetic and how good you can feel, then that's just the norm for you. But you see it in the kids. You have to look at a family. And that's where I feel like we just need to get kids back to learning how, what vegetables and fruits are. And even today, I feel like I've gone to the grocery store on occasion, I think 3 times, where I've had somebody comment on the amount of produce I have, like, whoa, like, are you going to cook all that? Do you really eat all that? And I'm like, I do. And they're like, no way. They're like, and then they're like tapping their kids, like, look at all those vegetables and fruits, And I'm like, oh my gosh, people really are like removed from it, right? And then I get a lot of clients that say, I've cleaned up my diet. I'm like, well, what does that mean? Well, I'm eating chicken and rice. And I'm like, okay, so no fast food, but do you eat vegetables? Do you eat fruits? And it's like, no, maybe every once in a while, maybe a salad. And I'm like, okay, well, let's add in, like, that's where your vitamins and minerals, So it's just getting back to those, and that's a you kind of have to acquire a taste for some of that stuff, the bitterness and this and that, and we're so far removed from that. I mean, especially with processed box stuff and things. People, gosh, it does taste good. It's easy, and some of it's cheap. But I don't know how, other than I'm doing meal prepping and prepping earlier. That's what we do at home to help
through the week.
Because that's the time when we want to just break down and say, I'm too tired to clean. We had this, I don't know, it was Sunday after Mass. I was like, I don't want to go home and cook and clean up. It's 6:30 or 7, almost 7 at this point. And we're like going around, like, where do we want to get fat? Oh, that's not good. Oh, like, where are we going to eat? That it's all like, oh, it just doesn't taste good. And Jose cooks so much better than half the time when you eat out. You really can't save money by eating at home. But I think we don't,
No, we talk about that too, is that it's like, okay, we become food snobs because
I can't stand it.
We eat at home and it's good food.
Right.
And then you go
out and you go,
this
is we went somewhere, I won't name it. But it is somewhat of it's middle of the line casual dining.
Yes.
And I got a steak, and I was like, "This is the worst thing ever. It's not supposed to look like it was boiled, and it's cold."
Oh, it was cold too. Ooh.
It was awful.
Yeah.
I was like, "This is not like what we make at home."
We go through that a lot, and Jose's a good cook, and I like to prep, and nothing beats.
Oh my God!
Food.
Especially if you have good meat, if you have good quality, well cooked meat,
and it's half the cost. Especially if you're feeding a big family like you guys. It's a lot cheaper to be home. We went out for pizza, and I won't say where the other day. It was just Nadia. Jose, and I. It was just the 3 of us, and we were like, wow, this is why we eat pizza at home.
Right.
Like, seriously, for pizza?
Yeah.
It's convenient, but we have fun at home. We make our own and do what we want. Everybody gets their individual pizza, but it's work. There's a cleanup process.
Oh, sure.
But when you have kids, we just make them do that.
Wow, we should try that. I value my dishes too much.
You cleaned up the kitchen literally last night.
You did clean up the kitchen last night. You did, because
you can't even say anything. I'm probably the only person besides Trevor that will help you clean up the kitchen.
Trevor
does a good
cleans
job
more than anybody.
Does he really?
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, he does to a fault.
Trevor is like you'll come home from work and it looks like the cleaning person's been there, and it's like
his room is spotless.
He knows how to do it well.
Oh yes, he knows how to
very
do it.
meticulous.
He's very meticulous.
I like that. Nadia's that way too.
And so when he was on fall break, it was like we'd come home every day from work and we're like, this is the best ever.
Oh, yay. And you didn't have to pay anyone to do it.
Now, real quick, the other boys' rooms, not so much. Johnny's in that stage where nothing gets off the floor. He's expecting the laundry to walk to the hamper by itself.
Yes, we have that at home too. It's fun seeing those different personalities.
And food in the room.
And food in the room.
Yes, we have.
It's like, you saving up for an emergency? I'm just checking. Because if you want week-old popcorn, you're lucky.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
You know, it's funny you mentioned diet, because I think it's fascinating. We all came about eating seasonally, and how we have so many choices now.
Yes.
And yet they're not taking advantage. You have out of season fruit and vegetables and all kinds of things, and yet we still don't choose them.
Now, that you didn't use, like you could eat strawberries whenever you want.
Years ago you had it during these 30 days unless you canned them, and even then it wasn't the same because
you're
you had
forced variety too, which is nice, right?
So it's interesting that we still don't. That for whatever reason we don't take advantage of that out of season produce.
Yeah. And I also think too with this. Man, if we could all just slow down, I think everything would fall into place. But
I agree.
Like even with just eating fast and quick and not slowing down, you don't register the taste, the smells, and that feeling of fullness.
Right.
And then so sometimes you just eat and you think, did I eat? did I eat
Did I
2
just-
hours? Did I eat? I don't even remember eating.
eating.
Like, it just went in, and I'm
Yeah.
moving on. Like,
Yeah.
you know, there's no sitting down. Maybe you're on your phone while you're eating. Maybe you're watching TV. And so I just think a lot of those things have changed for us, too. Like, we're always, like, busy and just kind of fueling quickly. Or I sometimes have the opposite, where people don't eat all day. And they think by the restriction, I'm fine.
Right.
And I'm like, that's not good either. That is, your body is like, oh, I better just hold on to whatever you give me, you know? So
Yeah.
you have like these extremes and
Right.
and stuff. But all in all, I'm like, gosh, if we just slowed down and did something, just watch some movies from back in the 60s and 70s and then
Yeah.
said, oh, look at that. They're
Yeah.
playing a game together. There's no TV. Oh, they're eating dinner together
right.
and talking, you know?
Right.
Yes.
Things would be different.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too how people. I mean, hunger was a very human, you know, like I said, an animal trait, and you forget what that is. You talk about taste and slowing down and being able to truly appreciate what you're eating. you
Yes,
know, whether
right,
it
take
be
it
within
in.
season or whatever.
Right.
Whereas nobody feels that anymore because there's so much there's so much abundance that you can enjoy whatever you want, whenever you want, however you want.
Right.
Especially now with Uber Eats and all this other stuff. I mean, you
You're
don't have to
right,
leave your
right.
house.
God, you don't ever have to leave your house for anything.
No.
Now you don't know if the person ate your
anything.
fries on the way there, but I mean, you do get it quick.
Right? Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
it's true. It's all available, and it's just in abundance. So you overeat, you do everything,
Right.
you do it quick, and you don't have that shut off. So it's tough.
Yeah, I think if you eat too fast, then you don't realize you're full, right? That's one
Right.
of your things.
So
that-
then you
yeah.
just keep going, or you eat before you're really hungry. Truly hungry, like feeling hunger pains. So then there's no shut off for that either because you were never hungry in the first place. So you just keep eating.
Right.
But if you stop and you really have hunger pains, like you'll shut. You know, as soon as you fulfill that, you're done.
Then it's done.
Yeah,
Right.
your brain registers. Oh, you're full. But if you're just
Yeah.
eating, so it's hard. But it really.
How does like people always talk about like emotional eating? Like, how does that work?
It's like dopamine, kind of like the.
What does it do to make the feedback loop? Like, what happens?
I think it's just those. I think you get just that. Yeah, dopamine.
You associate the pleasure of eating, you know, with, you know,
So it makes you happy
lifts your
when you're
mood.
eating.
Or the sugar. I mean, I've
the
heard the sugar.
It's
There's
mostly,
yeah.
that can do it too. Just that feeling of like, oh, this is satisfying. Like anything that's satisfying, you know, like it could be potato chips and salt too. Just something crunchy and salty and
Right.
just something that feels good. Or like you talk about comfort foods. You know,
Right.
people talk about comfort foods for
Right.
that reason. Like, oh, that takes me back to when my mom used to. Like, this is very
Right.
comfort. It's family. Reminds me
So
of
then it-
family.
then that makes you happy,
You
and
associate
then-
certain things with it. Yeah. So I think a lot of that is just redirecting yourself a little bit. Like, okay, I feel this way, but what else can I do? I
Right.
practiced that in college. Like, you know, what else can I do? Right, I'm feeling like I want to eat because it's studying and sitting and you're tired all the time, and you're just like sugar or caffeine, whatever
Right.
I can do.
Right.
It's like, okay, what am I missing here? I'm not really hungry. Maybe I just need to get up and move. So my friends and I, we used to practice just doing like puzzles. So we'd come back and do puzzles, or we'd go out and go rollerblading for 15 minutes or a walk and do something just to redirect your brain from that thing that you normally do.
Right.
When
Just get out of the
yeah,
habit.
get out of the habit. Yeah, it's breaking habits, and
Right.
that's also hard. But
It's so funny you bring that up because I relate my dad's chocolate oatmeal cookies to comfort food.
had a bad experience last night with the chocolate oatmeal cookies. Proceed.
Perfect segue into what Mom wants to talk about right now.
What do I want to talk about? The chocolate oatmeal cookie fandango?
oh, what's this?
Oh, nothing. Poor Richard.
Here we go.
He had a hard weekend. It was his birthday, which was a good day.
Yes.
But then Sunday, he was just not himself. And then we made dinner, and Harrison came in, which Harrison always does, comes over on Sundays. And but he really likes his dad to make chocolate oatmeal, like homemade cookies, like with
Right.
oats and
yeah.
cocoa and peanut butter, a little bit of peanut butter. And
Right.
Yeah, that sounds
they're these little
delicious.
drop cookies. But you have to, like, no one else can make them except Richard because nobody can figure out.
No. Okay, I don't.
The-
I have a rule. When I make them, I will make them. I hate to drop them. So
Okay.
I say I'll make them, but you have to scoop them because I don't
Right.
like doing
Oh,
that.
you don't. Yeah, that's.
But you have
yeah,
to
right.
be perfect at your timing of the
You have to
little bit of
cook. Yeah,
chocolate
the
sauce.
sugar, the milk, and the cocoa. All right, let me set this up.
Butter was left out.
No, let me set this up.
Yes.
So I made a batch, and I was using my Apple Watch. You're only supposed to do it. I've got this written down from like 15 years ago, my mother's recipe, and it says cook for 2.5 minutes. I have notes in there. Do not, under any circumstances, cook for 2.5 minutes. It turns into a brick. So I have to do it about 1:45. So I'm looking. I was like, crap. My watch goes. The timer goes away. So I'm like, oh no. So I'm doing it.
Where's Alexa?
And I can
Yeah.
smell it. It smells funny. It smells fine, but it's not perfect. So I throw the oats in there, and I was like, What happened? I cooked it too long. I was like, because it just turns into a brick.
Yeah, the oats just suck up any moisture.
Yeah.
It's like,
no.
So I was like, so this isn't going to work. So I was like, God dang it.
Granola. No,
that's what I saved one batch because we did this more than once.
So anyway, second batch, I'm like, we're going to get this right. I'm doing it.
Is this all on your birthday or the
Yeah, yeah. No, it was day after.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, after his birthday.
Day after. So I did the second batch, and I'm like, what the heck? And I'm stirring it, and you have to you're supposed to add the peanut butter and let it sit for just a couple seconds. And I could see it was forming a film over the top, so it was getting too hard. I'm like, God dang it! So I was like, okay, something's wrong. I put the oats in there. It's messed up again. So I go over. I was like, I didn't put butter.
Oh no wonder there's a.
So anyway, the third batch.
It was literally like the gauntlet. Like Dad did the first one, messed up. He did the second one, messed up. Took a break, went upstairs.
Yeah, he did. He took a break.
He
had to walk away.
Oh my god.
No, because the pan. Your mom was cleaning the pan. I have to have that pot.
Oh my god.
Downstairs, just put a headband around his head.
No, I didn't.
He had fitness bands on, and he was like,
Sounds like Johnny.
He's like, I'm not going to fail this.
I was waiting for Burgess Meredith to poke out of the closet and go, you got it, Rock. Come on.
Come on, you can do it.
Hilarious.
So anyway, third batch did it. The beautiful.
It was perfect. So then
because it had butter in it.
Yeah, it had butter in it. The second batch I saved because it's like granola. It
Yeah.
has no butter. It's just like
Yeah, you can just
you can
sprinkle it on yogurt. Or
Anyway,
something.
Johnny and I are like, we're saving this batch, and we put it in a Tupperware so we could eat it through the week. Well, then Harrison's like been waiting. I don't know. This has been an hour and 15-minute long thing.
I don't think it was that long.
Harrison
About
was-
an hour.
Harrison was waiting. The cookies get made. He drops them. And then when Calvin comes down, because Calvin's been waiting,
Yes.
there are no cookies. Harrison's left the building. The cookies are gone.
Because we were supposed to make multiple batches.
Yes. And
no,
so
so
Calvin
then-
was
oh,
like, oh no, there are no chocolate oatmeal cookies. And I was like, well, here, there's one left. There was one. I don't know. Did you just leave like one on the wax paper?
yes.
Someone used
he left one
someone
on the
used
wax paper.
too
Probably
large
to
of a
fight
scoop.
over.
So there's one sitting there, and I'm like, Calvin, he's never had them. So I said, just try it, a little piece here. And he's like, no, I don't want to try it. And so then, Holden came in and was like, where are the cookies? And I'm like, well, Harrison left. He took them with him.
Oh, no.
So Holden's like, well, I'll take this last one. Then Trevor comes down and is like,
Yeah, he goes, where's the cookies?
there's
Like,
no
oh my
cookies.
God.
And I was like,
Oh, no.
I'm so sorry, Trevor. Here, try the granola that we're saving. So that was our, yeah.
It was
our-
a
That's a
crazy
good
weekend.
it was just funny. Yeah, because it was one thing after the other that just.
It was so
perfect
bizarre because
storm.
I've never ever done. I've done those for 20 years, and for whatever reason, I just wasn't paying attention, and I didn't put that other ingredient in, which is so dumb because that's the first thing you always
Like,
do
it's
when
my
you make
birthday
them.
Weekend. I gotta make cookies for everyone.
So, but yeah, the second batch turned out great, and
Speaking of your birthday, why don't you talk about your axe throwing?
Oh, yes,
That's
I'd love to hear about
right.
this.
You
This
went
is on
axe
my.
throwing.
Emily.
If my sister-in-law is watching this, I promise we will go. Okay, I promise.
So let me set this up. So Emily decided it'd be cool to go axe throwing, which is a really cool. It turned out to be a really cool activity.
Yes.
Where you show up at this place called Anarchy Axe Throwing, right?
Yep.
Wait, where is this one? Because
This
I
one
know
in
there's a bunch-
Castleton by
Okay.
like,
Corner of
CVS, like-
96th and
Yes.
Allisonville.
Allisonville. So we show up and
Oh, there's Chris.
whoa.
He's going to show the video. I bet.
Oh, okay.
Are you going to show something, Harrison?
I was gonna try and do the show picture, but I'm trying to figure it out.
So anyway, we show up at this thing. We take Calvin with us. All the boys, and Calvin's only 8, and I think they said generally the minimum
10.
age is 10. So we show up, and it wasn't really. To our, we were lucky in that it wasn't truly. It was axe throwing, but it was like hatchets. It wasn't like throwing axes because
right.
I told her I was like, if it was legit axes, I don't know how he could
Right.
possibly do it. But tried to be just hatchets. So we get up there and we were doing great. Everybody's taking turns, and Calvin gets up there and starts to destroy. He's sticking
Just
every single
doesn't
one.
Surprise me.
There's Dad's
That's
famous
hilarious.
picture.
Did that really happen?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
But
At least it didn't bounce back and hit you. Have you seen
Well,
that?
they did. They would come back. So you have to be careful
because
you're like there's two. There's a cage. There's two kind of targets
Like
and then a
alleys.
cage.
Yeah.
like two alleys kind of, and you'll compete. Like there's rules if you hit
Right.
it here. But yeah, it was a blast. The kids had a great time. I thought everybody.
And you felt safe. That's
yeah.
my big thing because I haven't really taken the kid. We haven't gone because I feel like I need to take the kid. Or when my sister-in-law is here, who really wants to, she did it, and she was like doing double. Did you do
Oh, wow.
double?
I didn't do double.
Didn't try doubles.
Oh, she did double.
I couldn't get
There's
the one
video of it.
going consistently. At the end, I could. It's all distance.
Yeah.
Because like you have to. It's only supposed to spin one time before it hits.
Oh, okay.
And it's the guys next to us were killing it.
Yeah.
They were doing great. But once you get that down, and Holden, Holden decides
In Holden
to
fashion.
act like a baseball. I was like,
Oh,
stop,
no.
it's
Yeah, that's
bouncing
when
all the
it
way back.
bounces back. You can't just like whip it at
And he was
it.
like
Right.
winging it at the thing. So
Yeah. So.
God,
so yeah, it was great. So it was a lot of
They've
fun.
got like this barrier, and you can stand behind the barrier.
Oh,
and
okay.
they
It's very safe. Yeah.
They have like a
Okay.
table where you can sit, and like if we didn't have so many people, there are games you can play, like where you're trying to like play horse basically, or tic tac toe,
Oh,
or
yeah, so the
things like
kids were
that.
like that.
Yeah, they
It
were
was
like-
fun. It was really cool.
they would be able to
People
do
were
it.
Fall break.
people were
maybe.
super nice. I mean, I thought the people
They were
that ran
very
it-
helpful, very
yeah.
kind.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
great. That's good to know.
Yeah, they were very.
bar
They did a
kinda
good job with Trevor
next to it.
coaching him, and
So you could drink beer or
I
whatever.
always wonder about that.
I know it's a little questionable,
I know.
right?
You signing waivers? Like,
You always on a waiver.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
But it was cool. I had a good time. In fact, Sunday morning I was up with Calvin, and we were looking about how to build one of those targets because he had so much fun. And it's just like two by
by
tens
six,
or
yeah, I was gonna
something.
say 2 by 6.
You just screw them together. I was like, that'd be a cool thing for the the winter. It's
Yes.
cold, and you can get out there and throw axes and stuff. So it's cool.
Very cool,
Love
very
it.
fun activity.
So it was a good time. Good way to go. Hats off to Dr. King over here for.
yeah,
Planning a
what
good birthday activity.
idea.
I just thought it was you.
And we took
I
the
don't
we
know
took
why.
we
axes. I don't know.
we took the pumpkin pie and sliced it with an axe and
Yep.
ate it.
Yeah,
They're at the place.
yeah. They give you like an axe.
They
Like
give you an
it's like
axe, you can cut it, and they were singing "Happy Birthday" to you. It was me and this other lady, Jan. I can't remember her
Jane.
name. Jane.
Yes.
She was there for her birthday as well, so
Oh, how fun.
had a blast. So it was cool.
Yeah,
Hats off.
I like it.
very good time. So, what else? What other things did you want to pick Tatum's brain about?
Oh boy.
Anything else that
My
we
brain
haven't covered?
awakened.
I had something and it just flew away. What do you think, as people get older, what do you think is the most important wellness,
Oh.
overall? What can people, Emily always says, it's always better to stay in shape. It's always easier to maintain fitness than be older, really out of shape and get
I
in
agree.
shape.
I
So-
even tell even when I see kids who are in their 20s, I'm like, start now. Like if you haven't been,
Right.
if this is not something you did, start now. It's so much easier. Just because of the hormone changes and stuff. But I just feel like it's so much easier to start at that age. But as you get older, I think the biggest thing is flexibility. Keeping the flexibility because
Right.
that's what keeps you from getting injured. I mean, strength too. Obviously, strength because you're going to lose that if you're not using it.
Right.
And body weight stuff is good for so long, but you really do need to focus on strength for bone strength
Right.
and just muscle strength because you lose that. And so you want to be able to, but then flexibility. And for me, I tell people when I make them do Turkish get-ups.
Yeah.
Oh, it's brutal.
Or getting down and up, sometimes
Right.
it's like, okay, I want you to get down and do this. Now stand up and do this. Now I want you to get down. It's like, oh, but I'm like, hey, this is what's going to keep you young. Like, if
Right.
you can't bend over and tie your shoes or put your pants on because you're too inflexible, then, you need to work on, that's what's going to keep you at least taking care of yourself, or being able to lift something. Like my famous thing that clients come to me is like, oh, you know what?
Yeah.
Pat, good old Pat. I picked this up. I helped my husband move this the other day, and he was like, whoa, I can't believe you did that, And so being able to take care of yourself
Right.
is like a good motivation. And for me, I think, you see people that struggle to get down to the ground and pick something up without falling over or hurting themselves, or where you're not walking and picking up your feet, that mobility that you need. So I think it shifts a little bit to that. And I mean, and it depends on your background too, but I really think you have to move into a little bit of that mobility and flexibility coupled with the strength,
Right.
like you said, you can't, I was talking to somebody yesterday at the cross country meet, and we were talking about how I can't run with Nadia out of the gate anymore. It's like, let me have 3 miles to loosen up.
Right.
Then I might be able to.
Maybe I'll stay with
Right.
you. But this particular coach he rides his bike with his runners now
Oh.
because they're young, they're fast. He's like, I can't keep up.
Right.
And, he was a great runner in his day, but and a lot of that I think is just flexibility, like needing to warm up and loosen up in order to go. So I would say that you need to shift into that and remember that that's just as important. And that's something like I'm even focused on right now. I'm starting to hit a 42. So I'm like, it's harder. It's
Yeah.
harder. I need longer to warm
Yeah.
up. I need to take my time. Or I think I was demonstrating something yesterday for Jose for a video. I just picked up this ball. I was like, yeah. And I was like, whoop, no. I should have done some more. Let me go run a couple minutes. I'll be back.
You hope it doesn't hurt the next day when you get out of bed.
I know. I was okay today. I thought, is this going to hurt for a while? No, I'm okay. But,
yeah, it makes a difference, though, if you do that, the warm up for nowadays, you know what I mean? And then you get into it does make a difference.
Yes. And so even at home, that's how we get hurt most of the time. I wouldn't say a lot of people get hurt lifting as much in a
gym as
controlled environment. Yes. As when you're at the house and you bend down to pick something up or you do something.
Right.
So it's those things. That's why I do it. When I see older people moving efficiently and getting up and down and doing, I'm like, that's what motivates me.
Right.
Honestly, it always has. It's like I want to be able to take care. I'm not good at asking for help.
Right.
I think it would, for me, it's important for me to be able to take care of myself and be able to do the things that I love to do. So
that's cool.
But some of that changes, and I think the amount of rest you need too changes.
Right.
So, if you're doing something every day, you might need a day or two of rest and recovery before the next day. So that really changes also as you age. The recovery that you need, the sleep that you need, those sort of things. So
it is interesting. I noticed just with myself, the limited in times when I did something recently where I was doing pull-ups every day.
Yeah.
And I was just like doing 3. And that was it. And I would just get, but you quickly get up to like 4, 5, 6. You're like, this is, and it's always fascinating to me how your body is like a machine. And it starts to, if you use it like that, you can do way more than you think you can.
Yes. It adapts very quickly if you just stick with it. Just consistency.
Right.
Consistency. I always say that about the Ironman training. I'm always amazed. I was talking again to a friend yesterday and we were talking about running. And she's like, I just don't know how I did that many miles. She went out for a 10 mile or something, or 12 miles.
Right.
And she's like, I was running 20 something. We trained 20 miles 2 to 3 days in a row for a race we did. And it's always that way with the Ironman, but you can condition your body to do
a lot.
just about anything, a lot.
Right.
If you just stick with it and you have a plan, you build slowly. But, but then you realize how easily the body deconditions just within a couple weeks of stopping all that.
Yeah, it doesn't take much.
It doesn't take much for it to go the other direction. That's why consistency and a little bit every day is more important than, even 2 or 3 days is great, but you need to be doing something every day, whether it's, walking or yoga or just, it just, especially as we age. I think as a kid, you can
get away with an awful lot.
You don't lose muscle, up until I think you're 25 or.
Harrison, you still have time.
You have
you
time,
do have
buddy.
time.
You have 3 years,
Build
Bob.
it,
You have 3 years
maintain
left.
Get busy.
Yeah,
He's eating very well right now.
Oh, you are?
I have my diet down. I just
Great.
need to work out. Ever since I moved back here, I exclusively eat chicken dishes and I eat vegetables in a frequent amount.
That's good.
What was your diet before that?
Not good.
Food.
Pizza, frozen, box. We were talking about hamburger helper.
Oh, God,
Yeah, right.
Too much, so.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's super easy. Like, you lost weight just doing that.
Oh, yeah.
I did lose weight, yeah.
See, and at your age, it is easy.
It's so
And
easy.
I think that's the other thing that as you age, it's not that easy.
Nope,
And
sure isn't.
So it takes a little more work and a little more
Sure
time.
isn't. Don't ask me, I know. Proceed.
You're all right. You do feel better. After I started cooking for myself, which I do almost every other day, you do feel better. So, yeah.
I do think that though, it's interesting this cycle you talk about, because I do think people, as you get older, your habits change. You do put on weight, your joints take a hit. I mean, it's just vicious, And I notice even myself with like my issues in my knees, I do less. So you're like, you get hurt, and because you do less because it hurts, and then you go on these. Someone convinces you to go on an out of state crazy hike, and then your knee hurts really bad. I don't. Someone else has that experience. I don't have any personal experience with that, but I do see that vicious cycle.
Shut up. It's so true. Then sometimes if you
Oh,
weren't
that hike was
actually-
very true, and the pain was very real. Go ahead.
So if you don't have a background in athletics or something, then you easily give up because you're like, I don't like this pain, or I don't
easily give up.
Yeah.
Okay, it wasn't the mind wasn't giving up; it was the body that was giving up.
Mom, you and I need to go on a hike together because we can crush it.
Because
Oh,
he was
yeah.
just talking about.
Let me know. I'll join.
That hike.
Talking about
Good luck, buddy.
He was talking about the Harrison Branch. Oh, Spartan race. Yes.
Oh yeah, we did
Yes.
Spartan
Remember
race.
that?
I forgot about
He
that.
did it, and he was like,
Well, yeah,
he
you
did
were
it
like
with no
18.
training. He was 20. Weren't you 20?
Yeah.
And he did it
Yes,
with like
that's
zero
right.
training.
Well, okay, let's just back up. This hike that I'm referring to, though, there were people there. There was a guy.
Ran
It was literally steps, like 1,500
They're boulder-
feet
yeah.
up. I mean, it was just, there was no trail. It was just you walk up these fallen boulders. But there was a guy that passed us, shirt off, headset in, and ran up it. And then we were maybe halfway up, and then he passed us on the way down. So you could look at the guy and go, you don't have any, you're in crazy cardio, insane.
Right.
You know, that's a workout for somebody like that.
Right.
Running on stuff like that makes running for me so much easier because you're not running on a treadmill and you're not like.
Yeah, your mind is.
You're going places.
Right.
I'm seeing different things. That's why I love running in like woods because 5 miles, or like 2 or 3 miles, will just go like that.
Yeah, and if you run it in reverse, it feels like a whole different experience.
Yeah.
That's what I love about it. When you're
Right.
like, wait a minute, this looks so different. Am I on the right path? I love that about trail.
Did you? I've heard long distance runners. There's a guy following named Cam Haynes. He's a hunter, but like a ultra athlete, and he talks about boredom and how things you do too, because he does like stupid 20+ mile runs because he does these ultra marathons.
Yes.
And do you find that? I mean, when you're running long distances, you just get bored after a while. You have to do things.
I think
Like listen to things, I
any
guess?
endurance thing, because I try not to do music. Cycling's one of those where you really get in your head. Like I can zone out now, unless there's traffic. But I love that in a race where you just kind of go somewhere else and you keep your mind active. And trail's the same way. But for me, trail, if it's technical enough,
You have to pay attention the whole time.
Your mind is on. It's engaged. You're going downhill, rocks, roots.
You're looking at where your feet are going to. So you don't
Yeah, so I feel like time just flies by because your mind is active, and then if it smooths out, you can kind of zone out, and then all of a sudden you're huffing and your heart rate's always changing on a trail, so you're in these different states. So I think it's easy to kind of, you can't really just zone out and think about whatever, like a road. Where you might run out of something, because I feel like you're very engaged, which is something I like. Which I'm glad you brought that up because I do want to get back to trail running again. I have been talking about this. I usually go from triathlon to that, so I'm like, I'm there. I'm ready
There's
to be out there.
that one guy that he does something out west, but it's all trails. It's like 100 miles.
Yeah.
It's a big something. I forget the name of it.
Big Sur? No, is that right?
I don't know. Big
There's so
mountain,
many
big
of
bear,
those,
something
yeah.
like that.
You were asking me about the marathon runner who broke the 2 hour.
Oh yeah, the marathon. The guy from
runner.
the guy from Africa.
We had talked briefly about that.
We did, and I
workout.
haven't watched the video, read into it, but I know it was very science based, right?
Well,
Well, he had a pacer and he ran behind him, but they were like,
several
oh,
pacers,
yeah.
yeah. I think they even marked the road
Because it wasn't. They were like, it's not official, and you're like, well, okay, I get it, but unless you're hitching a ride, I mean, you actually ran that fast.
he did it himself, right? I mean, his body physically did that, so it's pretty amazing. But it was very calculated, I think, and planned out.
And it looked like he'd walk down the street at the end of it. I'm like, I get it, you're late and you've broken this thing, but you're jumping around. I mean, I'd be crawling.
right. Like I did it.
Do you think you could have done it in under 2 hours if it wasn't calculated like that?
I don't know. Maybe with enough practice.
Because I think that'd
Then
be something you'd have to
yeah.
know, like where you're at, where you're supposed to
Yes.
be, where, when. Like
You would have to practice that very
Yeah.
without the help of others. I think you would just go out and keep doing it
Right.
until you got it down, I think.
But the fact that a human, I mean, that's what's fascinating
Yes.
to me is that, I mean, those barriers. What was the guy that broke the 4-minute mile? It was in the 60s, 50s? That people are like, oh, it can't be done, and then someone does it. And then this guy comes out, and then and what's fascinating is that no one could do it, like the sub 4-minute mile, until the guy did it. And then people start breaking it.
Yeah, I
So
think
what is
it's
it that was,
mental.
before and after? So I wonder what might happen with this
And I
guy.
also think they do a lot of, we're understanding the human body
Yep.
and recovery and
Right.
food and nutrition, and you're diving into such the science part of it. Like, back in the day when they first started the Ironman, they didn't have gels and goos
Right.
and bars to keep you going. You kind of went on nothing, or you were
Right.
just taking something to drink, and you were trying to figure that out. Now we have salt tablets and caffeine or whatever to just
Right.
kind of help you through that process, and they understand it and what your needs are. And I think that can help a lot. And just learning more about training and how to train the body for it. And
Right.
so
how to
people are
prepare.
getting stronger. Yeah. And maybe then people didn't focus on strength as much as they do now, which also help. I don't know.
It's interesting because Holden, even in high school, there's a big. I mean, he's very interested. He starts to talk about blood work and all kinds of what can you do to take it to the next level, and that's in high school.
Yeah.
I can't imagine the machines these ultra athletes have around them, whether equipment. I saw a thing once on one of the Tour de France guys, and it was a documentary on how they just fit him for his bike. And it was like days in a wind tunnel and all
wind
this.
tunnel.
I mean, anatomically, it fit him perfect, and it's like this this machine like around these people.
Yes.
That's just equipment. Who knows what they've got science-wise, biologically, what's going on.
Right.
So-
Hydration after. I mean, people do a lot of things. So,
So-
it's amazing. And I mean, who knows where we'll be in another 10 years.
Right.
I'm thinking about your kids' times and running, and you're like, wow.
How fast they are.
Yes,
It's unreal.
They're real fast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they are so fast now.
I think about our sports back then. I'm like, well,
I was very glad to finish back in those
Right,
days.
right.
Finish
Me
line,
too.
crossed it, done, success.
Exactly.
Oh gosh.
I mean, it's nuts, but it's fascinating.
It is very fascinating. And I was talking to Harrison. Were you and I talking about the fact that like, if you just do it once, I think you only have to do it to know you can do it. Like you have to be able to put yourself out there
That's what I
once
talk
to
about.
do it. Like, and then once you've done, then it's no longer like this, thing you
I
can't.
just can't do it.
You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
a
so
mental
for like
block,
Holden,
kind
it
of.
was
It
like,
is.
Yeah.
get to this point and then get to this point. It's like, well, if you can just get there once, now it becomes the standard. Well, how is it now the standard?
Right.
Like you were running, it was like, I got to get below 17 minutes. Well, then you get below 17 minutes and you're like, now you can just do it every race. So clearly, I mean, like my thinking is like,
Well,
it's not that hard. You're already there.
Yeah.
Like you
Right.
just had to get your brain there to get there.
Very true. We've been
You know,
working.
it's like,
Yes.
how is it that you can do that over and over and over again then? Like your brain had to help you.
help you get there.
Yeah,
Get there.
David Goggins in his book "You Can't Hurt Me" talks a lot about that. He went through Hell Week like 3 times with a Navy SEAL, and he says he said you can do way more than you think you can.
Always.
But it's all mental. He said all those guys that try out, unless they roll you for a medical reason, they're all capable
Right.
of making it through, but only like 20% do, because mentally they're just not strong enough to be able to push through those physical and mental barriers.
Absolutely.
And that's what's fascinating is that it's a self-imposed limit.
It is.
It's not a physical limit sometimes. It's like, can I like what you're talking about? Your body's capable of way more than you think it is.
I talk
Right.
about that with the runners a lot. It's, it hurts. Like, I'm like,
Right.
I'm not going to tell you this is going to feel good when you're pushing yourself.
All right.
It's going to hurt. And you just have to know that hurt is okay. That kind of hurt.
Whoa.
Gosh, sorry. I don't know why that's doing
Not
that.
not
Oh my
true
gosh.
hurt, not true pain,
Right.
I thought mine was going to do that. Put over there. But so, I try to tell them, like, during you got to feel that. So for instance, you're talking about Holden, he felt that. And I'm sure it hurt to get there.
Right.
But he's like, but I survived it.
But I survived
Right.
it. I did
could
it.
do it again.
And did it really hurt that bad?
Right. Did it really? No. It's.
I guess it
you
didn't
forget
really.
it, right? You forget it.
That's why
It's
you
like,
keep having kids.
yes, you forget. That's what I tell them. Like, it's gonna happen. Like people I said about Iron Man or something. You're like, well, I don't know. I wait.
Is
a few
Holden
years,
watching?
I forget what that's like.
No.
Holden was so funny that after his race, because I was at the finish line. He got a 40-second PR. He's in top 20, and all these other kids were like
Dying around him.
literally on the ground, like throwing up, and Holden just puts his hands on his knees, puts his hands on his head, and then he goes over to his friend and he's like, "Yeah, baby," and like hugs him, and then, like everybody else is like on the floor. Like,
So this is what I'm having this conversation with Nadia. I hope. Oh gosh, if she's watching this, sorry, babe. But
You're about to get slammed.
she's had her PR this last season, but when she finishes, she looks okay. Like it was a walk in the park. Nah, I mean she's talented.
Right.
She
Right.
not that she didn't push herself, but it's like you've got way more in you.
Right.
Like if you're looking like that, like you have more, and it's just.
Right.
Convincing her or convincing them that's it. And I think by repetition, like you put yourself, I'm going to get a heart rate monitor. So that's one thing that I did for myself, because you think, oh,
I'm working hard.
I'm working hard. I'm tired. I thought that on the treadmill all those years. Oh, man, and then I put on a heart rate monitor for the first time. I was like, wow, I'm not even near my max. Like, I'm not even, but I feel like I am.
Right.
And so then that's when you start pushing, because you realize, oh, I have a lot more in me physically.
Right.
This is a mental thing. Like, to me, this doesn't feel good, so I think I'm there, but really, physically, I'm not there yet. So it's like getting past that and realizing, oh, I can do more. My body physically can do this. I
Right.
just got to get past that mental block of like, this hurts.
Right.
Like, yeah, it hurts.
It hurts.
But
Yeah.
That's
you
a
know
tough
what?
thing.
It goes away after. And think about the celebration, like how good it'll feel
Yeah,
after.
I've done that before. Like I've been working out, and I look and I was like, 180. That's too high. I'm not gonna make it out of here.
Somebody's gonna
I'm gonna die.
get the stretcher.
Get the crash card. We were. This is a funny
That
story.
could be the other.
Years ago, we were at a place, an indoor soccer place, and I think Harrison, one of the kids had something, and I had to stay there. I forget why, but these older gentlemen showed up for like a pickup game, and these are older gentlemen. I was like, I hope they got a crash card that pops out of the wall because these guys might not make it out because they're going so hard. They're playing. So
Yep.
Yeah.
it's funny.
That's what happened to my uncle. He was playing basketball.
Yeah,
Went up for a layup.
didn't make it
That was
out.
it.
That was it.
Died right there on the basketball
Went
floor.
for the layup and hit the ground.
Yep. I mean,
Were they
tried to
playing
revive him.
like it was what kind of game? Like
Just a
what was it?
pickup.
Pick up at a high school gym.
Oh wow.
He was 56 though.
Yeah, he wasn't very old.
I am so worried that's going to happen one Tuesday night because there are people that were probably his age, maybe a little bit older. that believe
Well, like
that.
they didn't have AED machines that,
Oh,
like
yeah, I know,
now
yeah.
they probably do, like Harrison at the gyms and stuff now.
Yeah.
But I
More
mean, by the
doctors
time somebody,
around.
because they were at, were they at Lebanon High School? They were somewhere where it just wasn't close for somebody to get to them. I can't remember where.
But it also, though, those kinds of stories, though, do bring, I think, home to me that, I mean, preventative stuff. Because I think after they would said that had they run this particular test, they could have probably found that blockage or the things,
Oh, yeah,
go
yeah.
in and have that wellness
Yeah.
stuff done for yourself so that
true.
you can stave off some of those things.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah,
Well, and
'cause
all
you're-
of
Or at least
his
address
brothers
them,
have
address
benefited
them.
from, I mean, knowing that
Right.
their father died the same way, with that, and so then now Johnny
Now they-
dies this way. Okay, well now his brothers then make sure that they are,
Right.
so my dad and my uncle make sure that they have all of that in check. That's
Right.
like a thing, but
But those, it's tragic as those situations are, even as a
and they're
younger,
in such
much
good
younger
shape.
people.
Those people are.
Oh.
I mean, he wasn't overweight. He
No.
wasn't.
Right.
He was muscular. He was fit. He was,
Yeah, very fit for his
mean,
age.
You find that in the running and everything, and try like you just because you're, there are larger people who are healthier than
Right.
it, like weight and all that. Just it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah.
Genetics plays a lot of it too,
Yep.
and sometimes it's just a fight against genetics. And
Right.
so
Yep. That's
you do
what-
the best
yeah.
to take care of yourself, and that's where the diet comes in so
Right.
much. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
but
And you have those people that could like do everything and they live to like 100 years old. It's
I know.
That's my
unbelievable.
uncle. That's my
Smoke.
Grandpa Benny.
smoke
Gra-
and drink
Smoke
and
Camel
still.
No, Grandpa Benny was amazing because he was a first generation Italian. Well, he was just a legit an Italian immigrant.
Yep.
And no one knew that he smoked. And then I remember Emily was at Harrison's baby shower, and we went all out to me and my dad. He pulls out a filter with his Camel and just starts going. I was like, I didn't know you smoked. He'd done that since he was like 15
Oh,
or something.
No, younger than that. Like
Yes.
in Italy, before he came over, he was smoking, I think.
Isn't that amazing?
And then he came over, and
But he wasn't like a stack. I
he
mean,
was a lean dude. I mean, he worked out in the yard all the time. I mean, but he just had good genetics. I mean,
Yeah.
he lived till he was
98.
98, and he died in his own house. He fell because they thought he had.
Not just his own house, the house that he and his brother built in like 1937.
catalog.
It was
Oh
a
my
Sears
goodness,
house.
are you serious?
It was a really cool story.
And he was going downstairs
write a book. I still
to
would do
get
that.
to get. He was going downstairs to get a tool to
He had
work on his door.
He had a file and something else in his,
His hand. So he was actually going to get. He was going down the
working.
stairs
Oh, no.
to fix something on
And
the
he fell,
door.
yeah.
They think because his niece he had talked to his niece about something, I think it was his niece. She found him, and yeah, but he lived a great life.
Boy,
I mean,
what a run!
he
My
was-
goodness.
Yeah,
That's
it was
nice.
crazy.
That's nice.
So
So yeah, you could potentially have 50 years after now.
I'm living to 103. I told you that.
103.
Whether he's coming or not, I don't know why it's 103.
I feel like
just know
mine's
it's
a 101, but
yours is 101.
Well, but see, we don't have a lot of long.
Right.
Living
Like
people.
no, we have great genetics, which is why I take care of myself.
You're like, I am living longer.
Let's see, diabetes.
I'm gonna hack this machine, darn
high
it.
cholesterol,
Yep.
stroke.
Our kids,
like
though,
heart stuff.
I look at like Calvin. I think I can't imagine like our generation, like our parents, what the average lifespan was, and their parents, and how that next generation.
Oh, right.
I mean, I've heard people talk 125 is very, very doable with
think so.
prevention and the things, the damage, and even new technology, new things coming out that could potentially, who knows what the limit is for that, gene therapy or
Yeah.
nanotechnology or whatever.
Yeah, I always laugh because I feel like the boys are going to be like, yeah, she's still here, damn it. I'm going to be 103.
No, they're gonna be saying that about
These
me.
grandkids are
Is your
gonna be
dad
like,
coming over?
She's
Great.
still there. You're going to have to go over and get her and bring her over to the party.
We're gonna be like, you remember Downton Abbey, the mother, Maggie Smith's character.
That's hilarious.
Quick wit. So it's great.
Yeah, I was like, I'm really sorry, but guys, I'm living to 103, which means that you're not going to get any of my money until after 103, which makes you 80. So
Don't count on it.
Don't
There's
count
not
on
gonna be
it.
left.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So anyway, well, Tatum.
Well,
listen,
thank you so
we are
much.
been
What a
an hour
blast.
in, so we don't
What
want
a
to take
great-
up too much of your time. I want to be respectful of your
appreciate
time,
it.
but thank you so much for
This
hanging
was
out with
fun and
us and
relaxing.
sharing your thoughts. And see, it wasn't so bad.
It wasn't so bad. I was a little nervous.
It's easy
Yeah.
to talk. I could talk to you all day. So we're
Just don't look at the screen.
So, go ahead.
And if for people that want to get in contact with you or find you, where can they find you at?
TrainingXTatum.com. And then I'm on Instagram, and it's Tatum K. Perez, I believe. Should I know that? But I usually post on Instagram a lot more than anything. But
we could put a thingy in the on
I
our.
already have a website.
Oh, look
Oh,
at that!
look,
He's
man.
so good.
I love
okay.
it. Love it. So much fun.
And
So, yeah, shout
I'm
out.
wearing my merch today. So
yeah, and I'm getting a
oh, yeah.
hat.
We got our
Look.
merch. for-
Winter is upon us.
End of
Winter is
podcast.
coming.
Yeah, there we go. Winter's coming. So make sure you visit.
I know some
our-
runners that would love
Like
this.
these?
Yes,
Okay.
I need to get in touch with them and get them
There
over
you
here
go.
for
Get them on the merch store.
Yes.
It's at okay. I always mess this up. ASVC merchandise at
Is it okay? Well, I don't feel so bad.
ASVCmerch.com. So
It'll
come
pop
check
up
it
on
out.
the screen, right?
Yeah, he'll have it down there exactly. So, yeah,
That's
if you're not
off.
wearing one of these or one of these, I don't know why you need to.
I know, right?
Okay,
I
so
love it. They're
Do you hate
cute.
success?
I mean, no, literally, like
You
this
like it?
Yes, and in the shirt, they're very cute.
the
like,
shirts are so
wear 'em-
comfortable because it's that soft cotton you like. You'll like
know,
it when I
see?
get you that small.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Long sleeve. So
Great show today.
Yeah, great
Hats
show.
off, Tatum.
Thank you
Thank
again.
If you want to get in
Thank you. I
shape,
appreciate
TXT.
Emily King here.
Richie King.
Tatum Perez.
5 Boys in a Business. We'll see you next time.
We're out.